Hi, everyone. This is Enrica Jang, the Executive Director at the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum and Poe Baltimore, also the administrator for the Saturday Visitor Awards presented by Poe Baltimore, recognizing a new generation of artists and writers inspired by Edgar Allan Poe. We are very excited and so close to the deadline for the 2022 Saturday Visitor Awards. We will be meeting online every Thursday in May to answer live questions about the awards. We have had a little bit of participation as people listen in, send questions. I haven't received anything ahead of today's session, so I think this one's going to be a little short, and it's also Cinco de Mayo, so people might be out there partying. But anybody who's joining a little bit later or sees this video has questions, I'm going to be sharing with you information about how you can get a hold of us here at the Saturday Visitor Awards, get your questions answered before you get your entries ready for the awards. Shout out to our production team in Ohio, not with me this evening. They're out having a really good time, a couple of margaritas. So it's just me this evening, but I will keep an eye out for any comments that we see coming our way on YouTube, Facebook, maybe even Twitter. And I hope to answer as many questions as possible as the month progresses, and also share other people's questions. You're not alone. You might have, there might be some questions out there that other people have hadn't thought of, or you thought you were alone and really aren't, and everybody else might have this question too. So we want to share as much as we can with everyone so that there are no surprises for any creatives out there inspired by Poe who want to submit their work. A little bit of information about these sponsors and presenters of the awards. Poe Baltimore is the nonprofit organization created to fund, maintain, and interpret the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum. The second part of our mission, just as important, I believe, really is to celebrate Edgar Allan Poe's legacy, draw a direct line in history from Poe to the present day. Really do challenge folks out there to name another writer who has influenced popular culture to the extent, this outsized impact that Poe has had on popular culture and changed world literature. So love to have that debate with folks, but it's Poe tonight. Poe wins tonight. As Poe Baltimore, as this nonprofit organization, programs like the International Edgar Allan Poe Festival, and of course the Saturday Visitor Awards, really to, again, recognize Poe's presence in popular culture, but also recognize the artists and writers who continue to be inspired by Poe. A little bit of a plug for Poe House in Baltimore. Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum is open for tours at this time, Thursday through Sunday from 11 to 4 p.m. Reservations are required. Let me see some comments on here. I'm working on something. All right, we'll continue here. All right, so about the Saturday Visitor Awards. Just showed that video kind of talking about our promo video, talking about the history of the awards, the origin of the visitor, why we misspell the word visitor, where that comes from. But it has been such a pleasure to see just an incredible array of creative works from people from around the world. And this year, oh, I'm so excited. Nobody else gets to see this stuff except me. I've been seeing these wonderful entries come in from our crop of entries this year. Still excited for the month ahead to see that work continue to pour in. And then we'll be able to share this work with everyone at the awards, at the festival in October. Now, some dates to remember. Call for entries, of course, has passed January 19th. We usually open the awards on Poe's birthday, so January 19th of this year was the call for entries opened. May 30th is the deadline. Now, I want to point out May 30th is not the last day in May. It is the second to last day in May, May 31st. So, but your entries are due by 11:59 p.m. Eastern, May 30th. So you want to keep that in mind when you look at the portal. Generally, as long as things are going well, July 30th, the nominees are announced. And then October 8th is PoeFest International this year. We have confirmed the dates. If you look at poefestinternational.org, you'll see some of the wonderful events that we've already started to announce. And Pavers for PoeFest also going on now, but October 8th is the weekend for the festival. So keep that date in mind. Now, SaturdayVisitorAwards.org, this website, that's where you go. You'll find entry guidelines. You'll find other frequently asked questions. Please do not, other than tonight's session, please try not to send specific SVA entry information questions to us via social media. We've got different people looking at our social feeds. You want to contact the awards administrator directly through our website or directly through this email address, contact@poefestinternational.org, to get your questions answered. But these are the things to remember as you're looking through things. So we are going to talk very briefly about the guidelines before I go through here, primarily the categories for the Saturday Visitor Awards. Entries are accepted in one of two categories: adaptations of Poe's life or works and original works inspired by Poe. And I'm going to go ahead and play a video for everybody here talking about those guidelines. All right, so those two categories: adaptations of Poe's life or works, original works inspired by Poe. So I see a couple of comments already coming in about people preparing their entries. I hope it is that you're preparing your entry, not preparing the work. Otherwise, you're not eligible yet. So we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But those things to remember. So two categories. This year, something that's a little bit different. In previous years, we did allow people to submit more than one piece in one category. This year, rules have changed. We are only allowing one piece per category. So you may submit more than one piece working on, but it must be in one each of the categories. So choose. You may be a prolific creator, inspired by Poe, and we want to see that work. We're of course in love with artists out there who are inspired by Poe, but submit your best work. You want to single out your best work for submission to the Saturday Visitor Awards. And eligibility is a rolling eligibility, and we'll talk about that in just a second, but keep that in mind. So there might be time to submit other pieces later, so don't fret if you have to kind of like call your darlings and you have to pick one. Now, we do want to stress that traditional and not so traditional works are accepted. So what do we mean by that? Your traditional works, traditionally published, a publisher, art galleries, this kind of thing. But you may be a social media artist. You may have a podcast. You may have something out there that you've put out yourself, your own website, your own following, your own YouTube page. You might have something that's not so what we would call traditional. And these kinds of works are just fine. We have seen quite a bit of variation out there, lots of different, again, traditionally published works as well as self-published works. But it has to be out in popular culture. It has to be out there to the world. So not something that you've kept at home, created at home, and nobody's ever seen before. No Emily Dickinson's out there keeping all that poetry in your desk. You have to have sort of sent that work out into the world in some shape or form, and we must be able to have seen that it's been released. But something to keep in mind, we can go a little further into that. So eligibility for the Saturday Visitor Awards. Top line eligibility. Again, you will find more about these guidelines on our website, but here we go. Media, art, performance, and or writing that adapts or is inspired by Poe's life and works. There are no restrictions for medium, no restrictions for genre. We have seen comedy, we have seen tragedy, we have seen just about anything you can imagine. And in terms of medium, again, I love to keep telling this, we've seen beadwork, we've seen short films, we've seen feature films, we've seen children's books, we've seen all kinds of different mediums. People just inspired by Poe. And of course, we want to see, we've seen immersive theater, just some really, really wonderful work out there. Anything that has moved you, anything that you have created inspired by Poe, that is fine. Now, the work must have been released printed, distributed, or first performed between January 1, 2019 and December 31, 2021. That's the previous 3 years. If you've created work in 2022, you are not yet eligible. Your day will come, I promise, but you're not yet eligible. Your work has to have been created, first performed, and released sometime within the past 3 years to be eligible for the awards. Now, we know it's a little bit tempting. You've created work, you're just now hearing about the awards. Reprinted or re-released materials are discouraged unless the work has been changed materially. Something has radically been changed. We know creative work is an evolving thing. Unless the work has changed significantly and been released in a significantly different form, we do discourage any reprinted or re-released materials with just a new copyright stamped on it. And the judges will look for that. So try to be honest and sort of keep that in mind. Now, for our past nominees, your work, if you've been nominated in more than 1 year, you may submit an entry again. However, if you have won in previous years, you're a winner forever. That win is eternal, and you don't want to. We won't be able to submit that work again in whole or in part. So keep that in mind as you're thinking for our past SVA participants. So important things to remember. We talked about these, but important things to remember, and I go over these because we see these mistakes every year, and despite the fact we really do try hard to sort of get these guidelines out there and triple underline under these things, we still see some of these mistakes. So please try to keep in mind the information we're about to share. Understand eligibility. We are looking for completed works. First released, published, or printed, available to be seen by the public. So no drafts, again, nothing you've created at home that nobody has ever seen, and it's the last 3 years. The work must have been created by December 31 of 2021. That was the deadline. Unless your work was released by that time, you're not eligible until next year. Again, your day will come, but do please keep that in mind. When you submit an entry, you will be asked to provide a working link. That's a URL. You're required to provide a working link. Now, I understand, please understand, that our judges, we do not have the budget to send our judges around the world so that they can be in the presence of your piece. And we do understand that for many artists, that is the best way for someone to experience their work. We know what we're asking when we ask you to provide a working link so that the judges can access remotely. But this, unfortunately, is just the way of the world and the way of the awards. So you must provide a working link to your work, a digital link to your work. You will have an opportunity, though, to share with the judges what they might be missing by not being in the presence of the work. But if the URL is not working, they cannot see it. We're going to give you one opportunity, to fix the link. If, as the administrator, I go in, I'm preparing the ballot for the judges, and I can't get your link to work, I'm going to reach out to you one time, and it's your job to give me another link that works. After that, your work is disqualified. You won't be given a warning about that. So do please keep that in mind. Make it easy to view. If you have created this URL, you've done the work, you've done everything you can to put your work in front of the judges, do please create it in a format or put it in a format that is easy for the judges to access. A lot of us have Kindle accounts or Amazon. What's the Amazon? A lot of us have digital readers, this kind of thing. We all might have an Amazon account, this kind of thing. You need to assume that the judges don't have that. You want to assume they don't even have a Facebook account. You don't want to send them a social media link that they have to kind of go in and create an account or a password to access this kind of thing. You want to put your work in a format that does not require a special program, a PDF, PNG, JPG, this kind of thing. We do discourage editable files. So please don't give us a Word document that somebody can go in and kind of change the text. We find invariably that formatting gets completely wonky when a file goes from machine to machine. So you want to export that file into a PDF so that the judges can see this work. And PDFs are pretty reliable when it comes to images, when it comes to graphics, when it comes to text. So these things to keep in mind. Social media links tend to skate everywhere, and depending on the device that the judge might be on, that might look a little bit different across devices too. So take a screen grab, provide the URL, so the judges can see that this work was actually released. But these are the tips and kinds of things. Make it easy for the judges. Assume the judges don't have Photoshop or Kindle. Don't give them a TIFF file or an After Effects file, this kind of thing. Really just make it as easy as possible. So do's and don'ts. Do use file sharing services like Dropbox or Google Drive. Don't require passwords to open files. The link will not be shared with the public. The link that you provide to the judges will not be posted anywhere, only to our judges. So make it easy for the judges to access this file. Please do not put a password on it, because again, I'm going to contact you one time to make this link work. But if it doesn't work, when the judges access it, you are disqualified, and there's nothing we can do about that. Please do link directly to the work. When you provide your link, you want to send somebody straight there. You don't want to send them to a store page and then give them instructions on where they're supposed to scroll or what they're supposed to click on to get there. Give us a link directly to your work. Please don't use transfer services that expire after 30 days. Like WeTransfer is a common culprit, that kind of thing. Don't use a transfer service that will expire after such and such days. You don't know when the judges are going to be able to get to your work. If you've given us a WeTransfer file, I've probably contacted you and told you, don't want to do that. We need a link directly to that's hosted where you are. So do package covers or multiple pages into a single file. Really bad idea to link to a folder that has multiple different things that someone has to open. You really want to zip things up, put it into a single PDF, put things, again, easy. Make it easy for a judge. Don't annoy a judge before they even see your work. It's one of those one of those unspoken rules that I'm speaking right now. Try to think about that. And then don't link to websites that require $0 purchases. Some people do commit this sin. They'll send us to an Amazon page that requires you to make a $0 purchase, and the judges do not like to do that. I don't like to do that. So those things do try to keep in mind. I'm going to take a peek at oh, hey. Okay, well, guys, it's Mother's Day week. Mothers get a whole day and they get a whole week, and I see my mom is on YouTube and she said hi to everybody and said hi to me. So, hey, Mom, I love you. Happy Mother's Day this week, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, next, here we go. All right, so we'll go back to these two categories, something to keep in mind. We have about 10 minutes left. I know somebody out there has a comment other than my mom, so do send your comments our way or send any questions our way. This is a live Q&A. I'm here with you now to answer those questions, but you can send questions to me, and we'll get to them next week as well. But things to know for the adaptation category. To understand these categories, I'm sharing with you now the primary considerations of the judges for these characters. The judges are asked this question. If someone asked you for an introduction to Poe's life or writing, would you recommend this piece to them? So works that are to be submitted in this category, is the piece a contribution worthy of Poe's legacy, presenting either Poe's writing or the facts of Poe's life in a creative and original way? We know that all of these works are creative. We're not looking for academic papers or treatises or this kind of thing. But the primary consideration for the adaptation category is these Poe experts who we've chosen because of their involvement with Poe, these folks who've devoted some part of their life to Poe, do they consider this piece something worthy of Poe's legacy? If someone asked for an introduction, would this be a piece that they would bring up, something they would mention? So this is what the judges are asked to consider. This is what the judges are asking themselves when they're looking at pieces in the adaptation category. And we know that things can kind of skate around. It's okay, but that's to keep in mind for the adaptation category. For the original works category, primary consideration is the work essential rather than merely commercial. We know all that's kind of cool stuff, but working at Poe House, we've got a lovely gift shop that you can peruse at poehouseshop.com. See a bunch of Poe stuff, but socks, we see mugs, we see all kinds of stuff. But is the work essential rather than merely commercial? Commercial is okay. Talk to me and we'll put some stuff in the gift shop, but is the work essential? If someone who already loved Poe asked you, as an expert, to recommend works with a dramatic take on Poe's life or writing, would this piece make your best of list? And this is why ahistorical works are eligible here. Some folks make Poe a character in their original stories or get a little bit original and creative with Poe's life or other people from history. We see this kind of thing. So ahistorical works are eligible in this category. And that's something that the judges are asking. Is the work essential rather than merely commercial? Sometimes something to keep in mind. And when you're putting your entry together, tell the judges why your work is essential rather than merely commercial, why it's inspired by Poe and your methodology and where these things come from. You can be very clear with the judges and draw that line for them so that the judges understand where you're coming from. Visual elements like book or album covers do make a strong impression, even for non-visual works. So we've had compositions, we've had full libretto, this kind of thing. We know that songs, this kind of thing, might not have a visual element. But if you do have a cover, or you do have album cover, book cover, some other kind of visual work that goes with your piece, it is okay to package your piece in this way. The judges are not judging a book by its cover, but this is part of the package, and that is okay to send. All right. Looking at our time here, we've got about 8 more minutes. So thinking about, you will be asked to provide an artist statement. One thing we do talk about the artist statement, you are given a lot of space to explain your vision to the judges, but I do want to share with everyone, and the tip that I will share with all of you is that a summary is greater than this guy with the lolling tongue out there. We know that you're passionate about Poe. You wouldn't be creating works inspired by Poe were you not moved by the work, and you do want to make that clear, and you're given this opportunity to share your passion with the judges and explain what the judges might not be able to see by not being in the room with that piece. But brevity really is the soul of wit and so much else. You really do want to try to be succinct. You want to be clear, and you don't want to, again, let's try not to annoy the judges. They're going to be looking at a lot of different statements. Try to be impactful rather than long-winded. And that's tough for everybody, but these are the best works, and we have faith in you that you can do that. But this is a tip that I do share with everybody. So if you go to our website, you should be able to see I know you can download the sample entry form before you enter the portal to submit your work. I highly recommend taking a look at that sample entry form so that you know what to expect. It's actually not a very complicated form. And this is how, by everybody filling out the same form, by everybody being asked the same question, this is how the judges can look at the proposal and lead to a more consistent judging. Now, all of the judges, judging is subjective, and everybody's coming to the piece from different points of view, this kind of thing. But by giving everybody a uniform entry form, we're able to kind of streamline everything and give everybody a level playing field. So, but take a look at that entry form so there are no surprises when you're getting your entry put together. I'm not seeing any comments pop up here, so I'm going to assume that everybody's kind of processing this information, maybe taking this information again, and I will share the website and the email with everybody before we end today. But if you do have any questions, do please don't be afraid to set those up. So another reminder, any genre, any medium. Previous SBI nominated works have included short films, feature films, comic books, paintings, sculptures, songs, concerts, animation, scripts, novels, poetry, short stories, plays, children's books, beadwork. Even if you don't see it on the list, enter it. If your work is inspired by Poe, we want to see it. And that's something to keep in mind. Now, for long form entries, you may have an opus, you may have a series, you may have been working on something for a very long time. But if your series falls within a period of eligibility, that is okay. So if you have a long form entry like a novel, it really is, the judges, pretty fast readers, they do tackle the work. But if you've got something longer than 10,000 words, you will be asked to highlight the best 10,000 words. Or if you've got something longer than 20 minutes, you will be asked to highlight the best 20 minutes. This does not preclude the judges from seeing the rest of your piece, but long form entry, by providing an excerpt, this is what the judges are going to see first. This is what the judges are going to be looking at to see if they want to spend any more time on the entry and move it to the second round. So do keep that in mind. Long form entries will be asked to excerpt if you're submitting a novel, if you're submitting a series, this kind of thing, must fall within the period of eligibility, and you'll be asked to highlight the best 20 minutes, best 10,000 words. Now, send the complete piece, send a link to the complete work, but you'll be asked to highlight and tell the judges where to go to look first, and it's okay to do that. All right, what else can we ask here? We'll talk about the entry form in a later session. Again, take a look at that entry form, send your questions my way, and we'll go in a little bit more in depth. So with my last 4 minutes here, I'll talk about the different rounds and how the judges get to those 10s. Round 1. All of the pieces are ranked against one another, and the top 15 scoring entries, top 15 raw score entries from our judges will proceed to the next round. This is math. A lot of creative work, a lot of subjectivity goes into these scores, that kind of thing, but the top scoring at top 15 of those entries proceed to the next round. Let's see here. Round 2. From the top 15 entries, the judges are then asked to take a second look at the top 15 and score them again. And the top 10 entries then become our official nominees. Now, please note that the top 10 are the maximum number of nominees per category. The judges may decide, and this is their prerogative, to slate fewer than 10, and this has happened depending on the crop of entries. So know that a maximum of 10 entries per category. The judges may come out with a list of 6, and that is the judge's prerogative. There's no error there. That is just what the judges have decided. So that is round 2. But our top 10 entries, our maximum number of top 10 entries per category, are then our official nominees. And the nominees will be notified July 30th, and they will be given an invitation to attend the International Edgar Allan Poe Festival and Awards in October here in Baltimore. Finally, round 3, from the top 10, the judges are asked to rank the top 10 entries against one another, and the top 3 high-ranking entries then become our winners. And there are 3 winners in each category. Winners are announced at the Black Cat Ball. They're given a prize medal. They're given an historic award to match Poe's historic award that he won in Baltimore. And they're also given an invitation to return in 2023. So something to keep those in mind. Those are the 3 rounds from the judges. And if you go by going back through the video, you have some questions and you want to share those with me before our next video next Thursday, I will be online. I'll share those with everybody, and we want to make sure that everything is as clear as possible so that there are no questions. Okay, so a final note, we're all on social media. We're here on social media now talking about these things. Don't at me. Love Poe. We've been tagged in some wonderful Poe works in the last few months. It's wonderful that you're out there creating these works, but the only way to be considered for the SVAs is to enter the SVAs. So the only way to be considered for the Saturday Visitor Awards, the only way to be recognized by our judges is to put your money where your mouth is. There is in fact an entry fee of $25, but to put that effort through, be brave, submit your work. And that's the way to get in front of the judges. So while it's wonderful to be tagged, Poe House in Baltimore does love to see this Poe work from around the world, and we get tagged all the time. The only way to be considered for the awards, the only way to get the judges' attention, the only way to be considered at all is to enter the Saturday Visitor Awards. And that is something to keep in mind. All right, it is 7:30. I do want to, again, wish everybody a happy Cinco de Mayo. Hope folks that are coming back, watching this video, if you have any questions, again, very happy to share your question and answer those questions online. Now connect with us, Poe Fest International. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, obviously on YouTube, and Poe Baltimore on YouTube. So subscribe to us so that you will be alerted, be given alerts as to when we will be next online. I'm going to put our website back up here. SaturdayVisitorAwards.org is the place to go for all things Saturday, all things SVA. Get the entry guidelines, see some frequently asked questions, and then the email contact@poefestinternational.org. You can send something via the portal or the form on our site. But that's pretty much all tonight on our first live Q&A. I didn't see too many questions, but I hope. Oh, I have some questions here. Do we have examples of previous winners? For reference, we do have the previous winners listed on our website. So if you scroll down there, you'll see some links to the various people or their work listed, and you can do a quick Google search. Let's see, I hope I answered that question. There are also, the video may have been expired at this point. We do have video of the Saturday Visitor Awards ceremony online. It may have expired by this point. I'll double check on that, but that's something to keep in mind. But the previous winners, you can Google them, or you can see them in previous posts on our website, and that should help. But everything should be new. Everything should be yours. So do not be unique, be you, and we want to see your work. You're inspired by Poe. Definitely. And we have new judges every year, so fresh eyes on all of this work. So even if you, just because we have recognized a novel previously doesn't mean there aren't many more novels, all the wonderful Poe novels to see. So, but that was a very, very good question. If you have any other questions for me, please feel free to send them my way. Good luck, everyone. And I look forward to be in touch with everyone. We'll see everyone next Thursday. Have a good night.